My name is Mark. I'm the chair of the St. Andrew's Council. And so just a few little family updates for you. As you might remember, I don't know if it was earlier this year or last year now, but we've gone through a few meetings and processes looking at the strategic direction for St. Andrew's. And I just want to assure you that that is a continuing work in progress. Just a few updates on that. If I could pick a couple of words that sort of summarize that, it's a lot of different details, but if I could pick two words to summarize it, one is equipping. We want to, as a church, become much better at equipping you and ourselves by ministering to one another, okay? And the second, I would say, would be family or fellowship. We want to be much better at loving each other, supporting each other, and coming around each other. I fail at that all the time. And I'm convicted more and more of how important that is. The truth and proclamation of the gospel is where we start, but where we really bring life and validity, and where we live out the gospel is in how we love one another and how we love our world. And we want to really become better at that. So those are a couple of words that sort of give us direction as we go forward as a council and as a church family. One of the things we've done is broken up the council with a few other members into 6 working groups. Okay, so we're working on things through these different groups. I'll just quickly run through those. We have a group focused on those big topics of the big direction. We call it a ministry direction group. We have another one looking at administrative structure, just all the details of how we structure and run this church. The third is financial considerations, as we look at how to better manage finances and be accountable and be honorable in how we do that. Group 4 is about communicating and connecting. And that really is one of the groups that's working on how we flesh out, how we live out, how we care for one another, how we get to know each other better and build relationships and actually know what's going on in each other's lives. We can do better as a church with the tools and the ways and the culture, building a culture of caring for one another, both in this church and any other congregations that we have. How do we do that? How do we live as a family? It takes a bit of work. So we have a group starting to wrestle with those questions. Group number 5 is what we call the St. Andrew's Operations Handbook. Well, why have a separate group just on developing a handbook? Well, the thing is, in a church like St. Andrew's, there's a lot of turnover. We turn over staff, we turn over people, we come and go, right? We've existed for many years, decades and decades, and yet there's constant turnover. To better provide the continuity that what God is doing 3 years ago is something that continues on, that we build on, we need a few ways to communicate that from one generation of St. Andrew's to another. So we're trying to put all of our house in order with creating a handbook like that. And the last group, number 6, is what we call, it's about discerning, equipping, encouraging, and partnering. And it's all about how we actually develop, disciple, and work together with you as God calls you to things that He wants you to do in your community and in this nation of Greece. And it'll also cover ways that we partner with other churches and other families all over the world. So lots more details there, but I just want to assure you that there's some groups specifically assigned to continue that kind of work. Now, another point of update is we're also looking at another team that's been set up to find what we call an intern for music or worship, okay? And I want to just make clear that this intern that we're looking for is not to replace Christian. Christian's on our team, he's there, we're supporting him, he's on payroll, we love him, he's part of this family, so we'll continue to have Christian in that way and keep praying that he will be able to recover. But the intern will come alongside the pastor and Christian and other people serving in worship to continue to support them. So pray for that team that is looking for the right person to fill that role, just to take a bit of the load. The second thing, which is really big, is another committee that we're setting up called the Pastoral Search Committee, okay? We're sad that Sandro is leaving and Becky is leaving. We wish they could stay, but God's calling them on. And so we need to be faithful to find new pastoral leadership. So we're meeting in a couple of weeks as a council to finalize who is on that search committee. The search committee will be responsible for a whole bunch of things, designing sort of the profile. What kind of pastor are we looking for in light of the new directions that we have? Then how do you find that person? Then how do you interview them? And then eventually, how do you go through all of the legal logistics? I'm sure Jane's going to be very involved in that. Thank you, Jane. To help them come and move here and go through all that process. So the search committee is in the works right now. And we want to hear from you during that. So one of the things we're looking at doing as a search committee is coming to you with just some little tool that enables you to have a voice, to speak into that process, to say, here's the kind of pastor that we would enjoy seeing, so that you could inform the committee as they go about their process, okay? And I want to assure you that we're doing this in prayer, we're doing it faithfully, trying to hear God's voice, and we know that God isn't just hearing or we're not just hearing from God, but whoever God has already appointed to this role, God is speaking to that person, that family already. Okay, so would you pray with us that as we go through this process, we're doing it humbly, and we're creating a community of people. That includes you and everyone else as part of St. Andrews. We're creating a community that loves each other and that is a very bright witness in this nation, okay? So lots going on. From time to time, we'll get up here and we'll give you an update. Just one last comment here. God has blessed us with somebody who is willing to step in as an interim preaching pastor. That's James Gibbons, who you've had here, I think, from time to time in the pulpit. And Pastor Sandro has been mentoring him and helping him through that process of preparing for that. So we're in an amazing place where God has already given us that person who can bridge this time after Sandro leaves and before we have someone new to fill that role. So James needs your prayers as well. He needs God's blessing and your prayers on him, and we're thankful that Sandro has really taken this role to support and mentor James in that process. So thank you for listening. Here to help, here to guide. We're a council that I'm just really thankful that the council is strong and that every person is taking on roles and taking on work here as we go through this transition time. Thank you.